my name is Faye, and I say I'm mixed heritage. I don't really use the term race anymore, but yeah, I'm mixed Black African, Nigerian, and white British. So I would say I grew up in different places. I was born in Portugal, but neither of my parents are Portuguese. They just lived there. Um, and when I was 2, I went to live with my dad in Somerset, and we lived on like traveller sites until maybe I don't really know what age, but I remember living in a caravan when I was quite young. And then we moved into a house in Somerset, and I lived with my dad, who is my parent, who's a parent of colour, so he's mixed. And it was just like me and him, and I didn't really see my mum that much. And so when I was about 7, I went to live with my mum, and we lived in Sheffield. When I lived in Sheffield, there was quite a lot of other people of colour, so I didn't really feel like I was different. And then we moved to West Wales, and then I was like the only person of colour. So like I was very rural Wales. I didn't go to school for quite a while, so I was like homeschooled, and I was living on site, on a traveller site. And I remember really distinctively once looking at my mum and my younger brother and sister, who were all white, and like staring at them and thinking, oh, I'm really different to them. Like I'm a different colour. I was probably about 8 at that time. I think I found it, like I got bullied quite a lot because of my ethnicity, but also because I was a traveller, and also because I came from a really poor family. So there was like lots of other things. Like I would come to school not wearing normal uniform, and there was a lot of other stuff that kind of made me different, and it wasn't just to do with the way that I looked. So I think when I was quite young, I think this must have been the time when I was living with my mum, so it was like past 7. I didn't really have, like my mum wasn't very available in terms of her emotional availability, because she was in her own relationship with addiction. And I remember being given like a notebook, and I remember like writing down my feelings as poems, and this being like this little place that I could put the stuff that I was feeling. And I remember kind of showing it to somebody, I think it was my dad's girlfriend at some point when I was visiting him, and her being really excited about it. And then I think that might have helped me to feel encouraged. So I just started writing, mostly from emotional places, or like writing about things that I would think about. And it was like my own very internal world that wasn't anybody else's. So it was just like, I never showed it to my mum. It was just like, this was my little space. And for a long time, I didn't write for anyone else. It was just like the poems, I feel like they would come to me and I would put them somewhere. And it was this just like energetic thing. But as I've been an adult, I suppose in the last like 4 years, I started writing and editing. So writing for other people. The poem that I wrote for the performance is a poem actually that I've been trying to write for quite a long time. And I think a lot about my dad's story, that I suppose his story being that his dad came over from Nigeria as a nurse and had a relationship with someone, but who was his mum, but then like left and wasn't part of his life. And then my grandmother was really encouraged to give up my dad firstly, she was unmarried, but then also he was a black baby. So I think there was a lot of I think a lot about intergenerational trauma, and that's his story. That is also my story, and it will also be my children's story to a degree. And I also think about his experience of his own life and his long-term kind of addictions, and knowing that he was separated from his mum at such an early age, but then also transracially adopted into a family where he didn't have any access to his black culture. He didn't really have much kind of positive reinforcement of being black. And then him having me, and then I guess trying to give me something different, but still not being able to give me any kind of the stories. So the stories that you might usually have from your family aren't passed down because they kind of stop where he started. So I think in part it's kind of like me trying to understand that and put it somewhere and have an understanding of his experiences, but also how they affect me. And I think a lot of it comes to, I think I experience a lot of otherness, and I feel like some of that otherness isn't mine, and it's actually his otherness. And I have otherness for lots of other reasons, but, you know, I kind of try and think about what comes from my family and my parenting, of being parented as a child, and my roots and my ancestry. So I wanted to put that into one place, as kind of an ode to my dad, but also to me.